Warning: failure to follow the instructions contained in the package and to watch the SURE FOOT DVD could result in death or serious injury. Hi, I'm Wendy Murdoch. I'm the originator of the SURE FOOT Equine Stability Program and the designer of the official SURE FOOT Equine Stability Pads. We've worked really hard to come up with a product that's going to be working well for you and your horse. But there's always a risk involved when working around any horse, and so it's important to keep yourself as safe as possible. Please be sure to read the instructions contained on the inside of the insert sheet and to watch the DVD thoroughly before beginning SURE FOOT with your horse. It's really important to keep yourself safe and have a good time, so please adhere to these warnings.
So she's 20, what's her name?
Paloma.
Paloma, and she's 20?
Approximately.
And she's been this way, how long did your mom have her?
I think she got her when she was 12 or 14 years old.
So there's a history we don't know about prior to.
Yeah.
And so when she came to your mom, she had this spin and bolt.
I don't really know. My mom bought her as a fox hunter and had a pretty good time fox hunting on her, but she got very up when the hunt was at our farm. Like, she would get very territorial.
Okay.
But when my mom would take her other places, she was much more better behaved.
Right. She gets very attached to her friends.
Yes.
Doesn't like the feeling separated from them.
Yes.
And you've had times when you were telling me that one clinic when she got worried and she never settled and you tried everything.
Yeah. She got really spooked by a loud noise, and it was a legitimate thing. It wasn't just her. She was totally calm before that, and then it just kind of fried her, and then she wouldn't calm down. So we've come a long way with her, getting her to be able to calm down, but you can see this is sometimes her natural.
This is not an unusual behavior right now.
No.
And actually it can escalate from here to bolting and spinning.
A lot more, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
Good
I think what we're
girl.
going to do is start with you off the horse for safety.
Sure.
And I'm going to go get the impression pad. I want to start with the firmest pad that has no spring back, just to introduce her to the pads. And we'll see how she accepts them from the ground, and then if it seems reasonable, we'll put you back on.
Great.
Okay, because I'd rather know how she's going to react to the pads with you off of her.
Sure.
And that's just, safety
Good
for
girl.
everybody concerned.
And at home when I ride her, if she's near her friends, she's good. And I've actually gotten her to where I can take her way around the property, and I've ridden her at night all over many times, and she built a lot of trust in me, but because she's been turned out a lot lately,
that's
she's
faded.
kind of going back.
Yeah. So and does she quickly revert?
Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't stick. You can get her there.
I thought you meant revert back to trusting. Yes.
Oh,
she quickly remembers to trust.
But is she just as quick to revert back to not trusting?
I think she's losing it a lot. Today is, I haven't seen this behavior in her in a while, but if I'd have taken her buddies away at home, I knew this was gonna happen. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Why don't you hop off? I'm going to go get the impression pads. And I know you said that on the ground she seems to be more stable than when you're on her, but I still, just given the behavior that we've seen, I'd rather know what we have than be surprised.
Yes, and she has been incredibly girthy. We would try to bring a body worker in, and she would bite and was very touchy, and the lady had to have her on both cross ties or help her to even give her a massage.
Wow.
And now she's gotten to where I can work with her in the field without any halter. She likes the body work. There's occasional areas around her, like if you go to where her blanket, like if you're fastening her blanket or girthy, like today she was girthy.
And I noticed when you were trying to clean her back legs that she was very unhappy.
There was a reaction that happened when I bathed her, and I'm not sure if she has a tiny bit of fungus, but she acted like she was burning yesterday, and we got the soap off of her as quickly as possible, but we tried to spray something on her today, and she acted very sensitive around her hind legs, which is not normal.
Okay, so the skin sensitivity is just today?
I think so, and she is tight behind, like her pelvis is normally kind of twisted, and her butt muscles.
Has she had any injuries that you know about?
I think that my mom, they found, that she had possibly torn her sacrum.
Okay.
Or it was a stifle. Might have been a stifle injury, but her, a lot of times her butt muscles get like sausages.
Why don't I hold her while you run up that stirrup?
Oh, baby.
And I think what we're going to do is, if you give her to me, it's easier for me to introduce this to a nervous horse.
Just with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, when you're bending over, and when you're mounting, she has a bad habit of trying to bite you.
Okay.
So
she's got a lot of interesting
she
behaviors.
can get over it I've been working with it. Like there's times when I've actually gotten on her and she hasn't even backed her ears, but then today she's more likely to exhibit
Right.
it.
And it's good. If you just pick up that other pad so I don't
Sure.
have to worry about it just yet. Okay. And she's not terribly interested in me right now, but I just want to make sure. And that's one of the things is when I drop that pad, I intentionally drop it where it's going to make a little noise because I want to know if she's going to jump away from me. And yet, obviously, she's very concerned about her friends. And I'm going to just bring her around so that she's facing her friends.
Yep.
And I'll just offer it to her again. And she touched it. And just put it near her leg. And I can even just take it and just touch it next to her foot so that she feels it a little.
Awareness, yeah.
So I can see I've had interesting horses where even that's been interesting. So, you know, you always have to err on the side of safety and just check to see how the horse is going to be.
Just baby steps, yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm just going to pick up her foot and just slide the pad. And if she stands on it, even a corner, it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to let her walk off just like that. So I don't want her to feel pressured to have to be on the pad.
Yeah.
It's real important that she decides that she likes it rather than making her stand on it.
Yeah.
Because if I make her stand on it, I'm back to training. Right? And I want her to realize I'm actually offering her something that could be nice.
When she opens, she's incredibly quiet and open, and she will respond. So,
and I'm just going to guide her leg. You can see how tight that shoulder is, and
Very
she pulls
tight.
back.
Very
It doesn't
tight.
matter that the pad flipped up. And even though she doesn't really seem to be on it, you can
She's
already
feeling
see
it.
that there's something changing here.
yeah, she's really feeling it.
Right? And then I'll just let her walk. And already this is different.
Yep.
It's just crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy. Good job, Wendy. Thank you from the world.
Yeah, thanks. And I'll just do that again. Yeah, so, you know, I discovered this in the strangest kind of...
I was going to ask how
Yeah. So I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner, and the Feldenkrais method is a form of human work which is about function and movement and learning new patterns of movement. Linda Tellington-Jones studied with Dr. Feldenkrais,
Yes.
and she created the Tellington-Jones Equine Awareness Method and T-Touch as a result of her combination of the Feldenkrais work and her horse work. And so I've studied the Feldenkrais method for 15 years, and I'm always looking for new ideas and ways to help horses and riders do what they want to do better. And so there's a nice lick and chew.
Yeah, she's starting to release.
So I was teaching at a location, and I would go every Monday, Tuesday, once a month. And I had a student that I'd been working with for 3 years. And the horse had been lame when we started 3 years ago, and then it became sound. And so it's okay if she walks off. And so this one month, it was 2002 in May, 2012, I mean, in May. I went on the Monday, and she had changed the saddle that month prior to between the two sessions. And the horse was short in the right hind leg. And so she had her original saddle, and we put it back on, and the horse was a little better, but still short in the right hind. I'm just going to wait for her. You know, like I'm not holding her leg up, but she's not letting it down.
Right.
And if she rests the toe, that's okay.
Yeah, oftentimes when you pick her foot, it's like she's obedient, but that whole shoulder, like I would have to get under her forearm and kind of support her until she relaxes sometimes to get her to relax.
And if she sets the toe, that's totally fine.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And there's a lot of breathing going on.
Yeah, that's great.
So that night I went home after seeing this horse, and his name was Dante. And I was talking to Dr. Joyce Harmon on the telephone, and she's where my horse lives. And we were talking about insulin resistance and standing at the computer rather than sitting is better for you. But she wanted something to stand on, some kind of a pad.
Oh.
And so while we were talking, she started telling me about how they're putting dogs on Bosu balls and different kinds of balls and pads for rehabilitation.
Wow.
And as we were talking, I said, well, do you think that would work for a horse? And she said, well, I don't know.
Works for humans, works for dogs.
And,
Might
yeah,
try.
exactly. And I thought, well, all right, so I'll give it a try. And she said, well, just have the horse stand on it for like 10 or 15 seconds. Just time it. So I grabbed a couple of pads and I drove to the lesson, and I went over to the right hind leg, and I put the hoof on the pad, and I timed it with my watch, right? So I timed my 10 seconds. When the horse walked off, it was completely different. And I was so hooked in
That's
10
cool.
seconds. If you would grab the firm pad, sorry, the green one, I think I'm gonna try something a little softer with her now. So I'll give this one to you.
Thank you.
So then that day, I had a quarter horse that the woman wanted to do eventing, and he had been Western Pleasure, and so his canter was really stuck. And so
Oh, gosh.
So I put the pads underneath his
Aww.
back feet, and he cantered around in an hour.
You
And then
found
I
his
had a
movement.
halflinger, you know, with a really up and down
Yeah.
canter.
Yeah.
And in an hour, he was cantering round. And then I was hooked. And so I've just spent, you know, every horse, yeah, she likes it. She's trying to decide though.
Yeah, I'm a good
And it's interesting that
girl.
now instead of looking at the horses at the trailer, she's going to look this way.
Yeah.
And you can see how little of the pad she's standing on. But there's our breathing change.
Yeah.
There's our eye blinking, the neck coming down.
Yeah, she knows how to release. She's had the T-touch the longest, and she really appreciates this kind of work.
Yeah. And you can see that it's having an effect. And it's nice to see that it's different with different horses,
Yeah.
right? With her, it's really clear. Your other two stood on the pads and would have stayed there all day.
Right.
And
her,
with
she's
her-
kind of like, let me see what this is.
Yeah,
and-
I'm going to switch to the other front foot. She's testing it out, and she's not able to stay, which is totally fine.
There you go.
But that's quite different on this foot. And there she does, I call this checking in. So she suddenly starts to look to me because I've offered her comfort.
Yeah.
I think that might even be oxytocin, you know, the bonding brain chemical. When they do that, there we go, when they connect in. And that's nice. And so now we've gone into parasympathetic, into grazing mode.
Yep, yep.
And some of them will literally graze the dirt. The muzzle will wiggle just like eating grass. Oops, yes, because you stuck your nose on that wet spot. But you can see how much slower she's walking.
Oh yeah, she's really coming into herself more.
And I'm just going to move this pad over here a little bit. So a lot of times I'll kick the pad with my feet just to, you know, see how they're going to react to it. But now she's curious about it.
Yep.
And so
"What
she's
is
dropped
this
the
thing?"
neck and she's into grazing mode and everything's settling. I'm just going to position that pad. She holds that leg up quite a bit. So I'll just guide it to the pad like that. So I don't try to make her stand on it, but I don't hold her leg up either. And if you come around here, you'll see what her chest is doing. The pec muscles are really
I can see her going
uneven.
back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're really cut high on the left and then low on the right. You can see that. Even though the sternal line is quite straight,
Yep.
the pec muscles are really different. When she looks there, see how much she sways over to the right? It's like everything kind of shifts over.
Good girl.
That's nice. But you can see that she only stays on it for a little bit, right? And then she goes back to the ground. And I've had horses on the first session that couldn't stay on the pads for an entire session. It's totally okay. A session can be anywhere from 10 minutes to 40 minutes.
Okay.
Some horses, 10 minutes is more than enough. Other horses, you know, they'll want to be there for an hour. So I've just got to guide this pad, and you notice that she pulled the leg back. So I just kicked it back to where I think her foot's going to land. I'm not quite sure, so I'll just reposition it. And you can see how tight she gets in the shoulder there. So I just want to figure out where that foot's going to land and scoot the pad to where it's coming down.